The only person you are destined to become is the person you decide to be. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tiltingground Untitled Notre Dame USC football podcast. I'm Michael Muto, and I'm here with Greg. How are you, Greg?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing much better than usual, to tell you the
I
truth.
bet.
Oh man, it was a whole different world for me on Saturday. It was something I totally just don't barely even remember.
I'll tell you what, Michael. It was a different day for me too, because for the first time ever in life, I was cheering for USC.
I'm glad that the Trojans could pay off for you.
It was definitely an interesting experience for me, and it kind of just like it gave me a sense of like how I actually feel about them. Like when they play Notre Dame, and then like watching them on TV, like being a fan of theirs for like a day. Um, it was really interesting. Like, hey,
Well,
more about Jones.
I thought what really was fun for me was, when Notre Dame does good things, or when Will Fuller does good things for Notre Dame, I feel like he's the Notre Dame guy for this podcast, and then I feel like the USC guy who comes up a lot is Cam Smith, and I was so excited that he had the three interceptions, he had the two returned, all the way back to the goal line. We scored on one of them. I was so excited. I feel like that's our guy, and he was there
I will
performing.
say though, like the Cam Smith heart eye emojis that you sent to me, that was a little much. I look, look. Cam Smith is great. He had a great game. Kudos to him. He's a freshman. Congratulations. I don't need 5 heart-shaped emojis of Cam Smith
Uh,
from you.
I
don't want to see
downgraded it.
that anymore.
I
You
wanted
need
it
to
to
step
be
your game up.
I wanted it to be the cat heart-eyed emoji, and then I thought that was too far.
Oh
uh,
man.
so yeah, no, it was a good USC game. One thing I was really happy about was they ran the ball 45 times. Yep, 45 times. They ran the ball 45 times. That's what we had talked about last week, and it was great. It really actually wasn't all that effective. I mean, they got some big runs here and
They
there.
did it. It was like not even like 3 yards to carry. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, but I love it. Like they say, the run sets up the pass, and it got Juju Smith loose. And it was great. It was just give the two feature backs the ball a lot, and then let your receiver make plays, and it all worked out.
Well, Michael, sometimes it's just a good idea to let Travis Wilson do his thing, and he did.
I couldn't believe.
Uh,
I felt honestly, when the game was going on, and that kid from Utah returned the punt all the way to the 1 yard line.
uh,
They punch it in. And I thought, oh no, this is when it all unravels. This is when it all falls apart. The world's coming down. Actually, it actually started before that. So USC marches down the field on that first drive, and they score. And great. And then the graphic flashes up on the screen. USC has scored first in every single game this year. I was like, no, why did you put that on the screen, guys? I was so happy 15 seconds ago. And then I thought it was all coming apart.
but fast is not their problem.
Yeah, and then boom, it all changed. They ran away with it. It was great. I was a happy camper.
Well, it started. I mean, the game started a lot like the Notre Dame USC game started. I mean, SC scored first, and Notre Dame scored a couple, um, and then the game kind of turned on a turnover. Um, Against Notre Dame, it was the fumble that they were going in to score to go up 3 scores. Um, and yesterday it was the Cam Smith interception down to like the 4.
Yeah, it
Uh,
was very timely.
um, as a USC fan for the day, I was so annoyed at what USC was trying to do after that interception.
What do
I
you?
was
How so?
so
What do you,
annoyed.
what do you mean?
Well, they immediately threw it a couple of times to no success. Um, and then they got it in. It was fourth down, they
Oh,
threw it
you mean immediately after the interception? I thought it was like a
immediately after.
general
No,
after
I'm
the
talking about
interception.
no, I'm talking about that play. They
Oh
threw it
yeah.
twice
Oh yeah.
to no success. Then they finally ran it to the one.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, well, if you do that on first down, now you can just do it again. But they threw it twice, so it's fourth and like a foot. And so they split out. They're in an I formation. They have two wide receivers split out, and Adoree Jackson is the tailback. And I'm thinking, this is so obviously going to the fullback. Like, it is so clearly. Like, you have a foot to go. You have Adoree Jackson in the backfield. So, obviously, like, you're not going to pitch it to him. And you're
No.
not going to swing it to him. Like, why would you do that? And why would you throw it out to a receiver when you have, like, 3 feet? So, obviously, it's an inside give to the fullback. And then, to make matters worse, like, this fullback, I swear, it's so lucky he didn't fumble.
He might not even have scored, honestly.
He might not have scored. And not just that, like, to anyone who is, like, listening to this, who has, like, a son who's an aspiring fullback or something, like, don't jump over the top when you don't have a lead blocker and you don't have the benefit of, like, a 7-yard head start like you would if you were in the tailback position. Just don't do it.
Oh, it was almost a disaster.
Right. So luckily they scored. And then Travis Wilson again did Travis Wilson things. And, SC was able to capitalize on those mistakes. One of them directly is from a pick six. And unlike the Notre Dame game, they were able to seal them up.
Yeah,
Which I was
for
very
sure.
happy about. I was very happy about that.
Talking about the goal line play, that did bring something up that I didn't like that USC was doing, and that was Adoree Jackson in the backfield. It seemed to never work. It seemed like it was just kind of a waste of him, and if he ran the ball, that didn't work. And when he couldn't really get his routes off from the backfield, it just seemed like, whoa, just let him run screens and streaks. Like, don't mess around with all this stuff. It just seems like a waste.
Strange. It was very strange, not simply because, like, he's not a big guy, so, like, putting him in there with all because Utah's got a good front seven, so, the idea of him springing loose from that unit wasn't, I don't know, it just didn't seem that likely. But USC has, I would say Trey Adams was hurt, he didn't play, but, like, they have Justin Davis and they have Ronald Jones. Like, you have guys that you can put in the backfield.
Yeah,
like,
they have enough running backs.
And not just that, but they don't have a lot of receivers. Like, guys are hurt. They're still without Isaac Whitney. They're still without Stephen Mitchell. They were playing Dominique Davis at wide receiver. So just, like, put Adoree Jackson out wide. Like,
just keep him out there.
Yeah, like, boost your receiving core, because then they have to pay attention to him on the outside, and then you can't put a safety in there. When you put him in the backfield, it's like now they're growing attention to him within the front seven. So now that you don't have to spread them out.
Yeah, I didn't like it, and it didn't work, so it was justified for me to not like it.
It's especially troublesome when it doesn't work. Absolutely.
And then, since we're piling on Adoree Jackson here, his punt return decision making might not be the best. I know he's fast. I know he's good, and he wants to take every punt to the house, and I respect that. I really do. But, buddy, you're gonna get hit on some of these. You might get hurt. You might fumble. Like, just call a fair catch. It's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with calling a fair catch.
Yeah, like, sometimes it's like, he's obviously probably the type of guy where, like, they tell him, like, you have free reign, do whatever you want. sometimes you need to rein them in a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I've
Especially
actually
when,
had this going for weeks, and I just haven't said anything because who am I to pile on? But now it's like, okay, this is like week 5 of this nonsense, and he
well,
needs to stop doing it.
especially when like things are going well.
Yeah,
So it's not like you have to force a play, like you're already winning. You already kind of have them on the ropes. Like you don't need to be messing around back there. And to your point, like he did do that against Notre Dame, not in the punt return game, but in the kickoff returns. Like he caught it like 5 and 6 yards deep, then kind of slow played coming out, and it worked for him like once, and then a couple of other times he got caught, way ahead of the 25. One was inside the 20, I think. So, I mean, but that game was a little bit different in the sense that like they were trailing, so maybe they did need a play. And frankly, like I was very concerned every time he brought it out. So, but
the punts bother me more than the kickoffs because you're looking for a fumble's like just ready to happen.
Yeah, my kickoffs are a lot easier to set up too, like just blocking wise. Like, you don't have the variables that come with punts, right? Like the punt can be kind of weird and it's bouncing weird and the ball flies funny, and so it's definitely a lot more dangerous on a punt return.
Yeah, I mean here's his all-purpose stat line from Saturday. Rushing yards, -1. Receiving yards, 37. Kick return yards, 33. Punt return yards, -1. Interception return yards, 0. Like that's not the best use of this guy. And he had 6 catches too. I mean, he was out there. He wasn't just goofing around.
I mean, I will say, like, I mean, at least they're trying to get him the ball. I mean, I personally thought they could have done it another way, but I mean.
Yeah, they won.
Who knows? Like maybe him being in the backfield quite a bit, like maybe that took attention away from other guys on the outside.
This is very true. This is very true. It was nice to see the defensive line have a little bit of life in them. That was a good thing. I mean, it still happened a little later than I would have liked in the game, but hey, they showed up. 7 tackles for a loss. I like it. I think Stuart Craven's had a sack. Hey, a couple defensive linemen had some big hits. Like that's good to see because they haven't done anything in weeks.
He's a good football player. I like him.
Who, Stuart Cravens?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's very good. Probably not coming back.
No.
I was pretty impressed that they kept Devontae Booker for like 62 years. Like that's pretty good considering they got gashed by Procise the week before.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know how I feel. Oh, I didn't have this conversation with you. Who was it? I was talking to someone, and they put Devontae Booker in their Heisman top 6 or whatever.
Without CJ Procise?
Yeah, and I was like, wait, what?
I mean, I get it. Like they were number 3, and he's the best player on the team, easily.
Like, yeah, that's cool, but then it's like, oh, like the guy's referenced, like, oh, like CJ Procise had like a down game against Clemson.
Like everyone else.
Okay. Well, it's like he had 51 yards rushing, 100 yards receiving, and a touchdown. So if his down game is going to be 151 yards and a touchdown against the top 5 team on the road in a monsoon, then yeah. I guess he's terrible. He was really exposed that night.
Yeah.
But I digress. I think the thing with Utah that they have trouble with that Notre Dame doesn't, because they have Will Fuller on the outside, is like they're not so much of a like that Colby kid is pretty good. I don't know the receiver's name, number 2. I know he's a captain, but
Kenneth Scott.
There you go. Like, you just don't have the fear that they're going to
he's not beating you deep.
Yeah, like they're just not going to take the top off of you. So, like, you can kind of focus on Devontae Booker a little more because, like, while those guys are, they're effective, you just don't have the fear that they're going to run by you. So, it's a lot easier to key on Devontae Booker than it is on CJ Procise.
Right. Something else I liked from the defense was I know Amon Marshall got tagged for the 2 pass interference calls back to back, but I
Both
like
were whack.
I like that he was playing physical. Like I'd rather have like the Seahawks do. Like, hey, they can't call it every time. Like, just get in there, see what happens. Like, use your hands.
Yeah, it's like, what is he gonna do? Like, I just don't,
The one was real bad. I mean, the one was like, I can't believe they called that.
Well, the first one was bad, and the second one was kind of iffy. But I thought the coverage was fine. That's how you want him to play. Like on another day, like it's nothing.
Yeah.
And if it's Adoree Jackson, maybe it's nothing.
Right.
Like,
The true freshman. Yeah.
Yeah, the 2 freshmen against the guy with the C on his jersey, like they looked a little eager.
And trying to get the number 3 team back in the game, maybe a little cook in the books there.
I will say the refs definitely ref towards a close game, and I don't think it's like them cooking the books or whatever. I think it's just human nature.
Yeah.
But they definitely, like, not just in this game, but just in general, it's something that I've noticed.
Something else I liked from the Trojans as I was watching the game is this guy playing center, Toa Lobod. I can never say his name right. Lobodendon. Yeah, Lobodon. There's like an extra syllable I always mess up.
It's a great name, by the way, Lobodon.
He went out and then Khalil Rogers came in, and I thought they actually played a little better. Maybe that's just me and Utah's probably a little more tired. But he started, the Rogers kid Khalil started last year. So it's nice to have the experience. And
yeah,
maybe instead of moving, your best player to center, they probably maybe could have kept that and had, I don't know. I mean, they have a lot of offensive linemen, so that's nice. I think that's the point I'm trying to make here. It's nice to have depth.
I thought when they made the move, going into the Notre Dame week, I liked it as a Notre Dame fan because you're taking a guard and moving him to center, and he's not a center, so he is now like the backup. Whereas, and then you have to put in the backup to replace him at guard. So you're kind of getting worse at 2 positions.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, if they just kept him at guard and put in Khalil Rogers, now it's like you just have the backup center in, and you have everyone else playing their normal positions. As it is, Lobodon's out for the year with a torn ACL, so Khalil Rogers is what they're going to have to go with for the rest of the week.
So I guess they don't have a choice.
Yeah, they do not. Now it's kind of, they're stuck with it.
While we're on the offensive line, something I haven't mentioned during all 10 episodes of this podcast is that Zach Banner is a giant. Like, I know all the offensive linemen are big, but when you see him walking on the sidelines, it's pretty crazy how big he is compared to other football players.
How big is he, Mike?
I think he's 6'9".
Oh.
It's like, that's big.
It sounds like his name should be Lobodon.
Right?
That sounds very Sparty, like Sparta. Lobodon, Leonidas.
Right? Get after it. See anything else in the game? Anything worth noting, you think?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing is the turnovers.
Yeah.
The total yards discrepancy was not that different. It was like 380 to 358 or something. SC still had, the more yards there. But like, you win turnovers for nothing. Like we touched on before, like SC didn't run the ball very well. And Cody Kessler threw for 264, so it's not like he tore it up or anything. But I mean, it's a lot easier when not only are they not making plays, but they're making plays for you, basically.
Right. It was just nice to see him being consistent and just, working through it.
Yeah, I mean, you take what the other team gives you, and I felt like a lot of those plays. I mean, they're good plays by Cam Smith, no doubt, but I mean, Travis Wilson was really bad.
He really was.
But that's what you do. I mean, the thing is that a team like Utah, where like their front seven, I felt was a lot better. on defense especially, than USC's line. And then I thought their line was, at least early on when, there was a semblance of a run, when they weren't chasing the game as much. I thought their line was pretty well, at least evenly matched with USC. I thought their line was a little bit better.
Fair.
But skill position wise, SC still has them. And when you're in a game like that, you need a quarterback. I mean, it's just like with Notre Dame and like basically every team that USC plays. I mean, you look at their win against who was it? Arizona State, and Arizona State's kicking the ball around.
Right.
And SC's going to capitalize on that. And same thing with Utah. They kick the ball around, and they don't take care of it, and SC's going to capitalize on that. They're a good team. They have good players. So, Utah isn't number 3 because of their athletes. They're number 3 because of the way that they execute. And if they don't execute, then they're not the number 3 team in the country anymore.
This is true.
And that's kind of how it is with a school like Utah or Toledo or Temple or whoever, Houston. So
I agree. Something else that happened in the game that the announcers didn't talk about was, did you see when Alex Wood missed that field goal? It was in the fourth quarter, I think, and it didn't really matter at that point. But this kid, it was about a 32-yard field goal, which I think a college kicker should make. I mean, or at least it should look like he's going to make it while the ball's in the air. He put that thing in the stands to the left of the goalpost. It was so bad. I don't know what he was aiming for. The announcers didn't even say anything. Like, everyone just walked off the field like nothing happened. I rewound it just to watch him miss so badly again. It was fairly embarrassing. If anyone gets a chance, they should. Maybe he slipped or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was an awful field goal. Just boom, and just changed bad. It was just bad.
I think missed field goals are kind of fun. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah. Before we go, I know we were killing announcers last week for Notre Dame. You got Gus Johnson this week. I thought that was kind of funny after we mentioned him.
I love Gus Johnson.
Something Joel Klatt kept doing, which really bothered me. So on every good USC, like any good passing play, like with crossing routes or something, he would always say, "I really love the design of that play." It's like, well, of course you do, because it worked, man. Like no one's out there saying, "Oh, that the quarterback got sacked," but I really love the design of that play. Like the offensive coordinator really had his mind in the right place. It's like any time a play worked, he's like, "Well, you see here, the safety took a step in, so the guy crossing could get out." And I just really love that design. He said it a bunch. It was just such a throwaway thing to say. It was bothering me.
Every play is designed to work.
That's what I kept thinking. I was like, they're all designed great when they work.
Similarly, it's like the like everyone says, like, after a trick play, like, "Oh, I just don't think that was a good time. You just didn't need a trick play in that spot." Like, no one ever said, like, after a trick play worked for a touchdown. It's like, yeah, it worked, but that just wasn't a good time for it.
Exactly. It's
no
so
one ever
stupid.
said that.
It's so stupid. All right. So USC looked good. They beat number 3. They helped Notre Dame out. And do I dare say it? Is the Rose Bowl a possibility, Greg?
For the USC Trojans?
I mean, they need a little help. Just a little, though. They just need a little help.
Mike? I hope so. I hope it is. I hope they win and win and win. It could happen. I think that, though, now I think this week is I would be a little bit concerned about them, just because they are now playing a team that I guess is somewhat similar to Arizona State, but their quarterback is a little bit better.
So let's tell all the people. So this weekend it's USC at Cal.
At
Cal
Cal,
Cal was ranked until UCLA smashed them on Thursday,
UCLA smashed them.
which was a little unexpected. Well, UCLA is pretty good.
I would say it's unexpected, just that they were, that they were thoroughly dominated. That wasn't, I didn't expect to see that, just because UCLA's lost so many players. But I think that Cal does the thing that gives USC trouble. They're a big play team, for one.
Yeah.
And
What's the quarterback's Jared Goff, I believe.
Yeah, and he's like, pro scouts love him for some reason.
He's supposed to be the guy, right? He's supposed to be like the number one pick.
Yeah. So he does things that, the way Cal plays is, they plan to score, and they plan to basically attempt to turn you over a little bit. And so it didn't work against UCLA, mostly because Rosen played such a good game. And I think UCLA's running game is a little bit better than what USC is going to put out there. And not just put out there, but I think UCLA is a little bit more committed to running.
I think USC might be more committed now. I mean, it is a new coach, and they were committed this last week. So hopefully they keep it going.
But it's a lot easier to run when you're up by multiple scores.
True.
So it's like you're already up. You don't need to, and they knew they weren't going to get into like a scoring duel or anything. So they already had the points that they needed. So I'd be a little bit concerned about Cal.
Yeah, it is. They're not going to not execute 2 weeks in a row. I feel like the offense wasn't really hitting, and their defense is really good at turning the ball over, like you said, and they didn't do that against UCLA, and it's probably not going to happen 2 weeks in a row. So that is, yes, I agree, a little worrisome.
And I also wonder, like, psychologically, where the team is, because you kind of rallied against Notre Dame, and then you rallied again against Utah. And so now you kind of have to keep that mental edge again going on the road. I just don't think it's the easiest thing to do.
But just the opportunity to possibly get a real bowl game out of all this might help focus a little bit.
No, it's true. I don't think they're going to be looking past them or anything, but just like it's just human nature. Like at some point you're going to come down.
That's true.
So, but if they get past Cal, then I think you have to say they have a legitimate chance at it.
Yeah. Cal's O-line a little banged up, which is good for the Trojan defensive line, which still not all that good, even though they had a good game last week.
Uh-huh.
So that's a disadvantage usually for the Trojans, which might be mitigated. I like that. And we know the SC linebackers are pretty good. Secondary, who knows? It's kind of iffy. But if the D-line can put pressure on Mr. Goff, then maybe the DBs can hold up. It's a little football 101 there for the listeners. But yeah, I don't know. Cal hasn't beat USC since 2003. I like that. That makes me feel good.
That is good.
So I think Aaron Rodgers was on that team. That's a long time ago.
He's pretty good at football.
Yeah, he actually didn't play in that game. I think he got hurt.
Oh.
So the one time Cal beat USC in the last 15 years, Aaron Rodgers barely played, which is kind of funny. So another funny thing, Cal, if we're talking about funny things, Cal and UCLA, did you see the halftime show?
No.
I saw the internet. It wasn't like I watched college band halftime shows. they did some kind of Trojan War thing, and where one team was the Greeks and one team was the Trojans. It had something to do with the fall of Troy, and they even had a Trojan horse. It was kind of funny. I'll put it on
Was
the
it
website.
like shots fired?
It was like both bands did it together. It was like a
Yeah,
mutual shots fired at
like
USC.
a mutual shots fired at USC.
It was pretty good. It was really funny. I guess they do it. I was trying to read about it. It didn't quite make sense to me, but I guess they do it every now and then. Cal does it.
Yikes.
So yeah, so that was kind of funny. I'll put a link to it up. All right, so Las Vegas has USC as a 6-point favorite, and after the debacle last week of USC being a favorite, no one believing it, I'm gonna give the points. I believe in the Trojans.
They're 6-point favorites. Huh?
Yep, on the road.
Um, so they think they're 3 points better, basically. Oh no, they think they're 9 points better.
Yeah.
They're 9 points better, huh? I'm going to take the points.
Oh, he likes Cal.
I don't like Cal. I'm just a little concerned. I just feel like I was saying, logically, I think that this team is due for kind of a pooper.
All right. I think those have already happened. So how many more can they have?
Good point.
All right. Speaking of teams that might be in trouble, I kind of forgot about Notre Dame, Greg. They had a bye week, and when I was looking over at the Temple Owls, I was going over the Notre Dame roster. I was like, hey, I remember these guys. Where were they last week? So we have Notre Dame at Temple. Notre Dame is number 9.
9 now.
Temple's number 21. Temple undefeated, 7-0. The game will be at Lincoln Financial Field. This is fun fact: the only time Temple has ever been ranked playing another ranked team.
Wow.
So that's got to be good for Notre Dame.
There's a chance that this will be the game day game.
I saw that because these are the only 2 ranked teams playing each other this weekend as well.
Just unbelievable.
No one had this circled on the calendar back in August.
No. Well, I didn't have it circled, but I knew Temple was a quality program.
Are you Lou Holtz to me right now?
No, seriously. They have. I know that okay, like people hear Temple and they think, oh, it's Temple, but like I knew that they were probably going to be a bowl team. I knew it wasn't going to be like UMass or Wake Forest. They're a good team.
All right.
They beat Penn State in the opener.
They did.
Penn State's Big Ten.
That is a Big Ten school. That's a fact. So what does old Temple do that we need to look out for?
They defend.
That's their big thing. That's what I saw too.
That's the biggest thing. I want to say they're top 10 total defense. Let me check on that.
Well, I know they only give up like 90 yards a game rushing.
Yeah, they're definitely a top 10 team rushing. Let me check their total defense really quickly. They are 14th. They're 14th nationally in total defense. They only give up 307 yards a game. They're really good against the run. They're not as good against the pass. They're actually below Notre Dame. I want to say they're around 50th.
They have 12 interceptions. It's not bad. Nothing to
not
scoff
bad
at.
all. That's not bad, man.
I do think a linebacker leads them in interceptions, which is, not that impressive for the DBs.
I wish a linebacker led us in interceptions. To tell you that.
Well, it wouldn't take many, so that could happen by the end of the weekend.
So yeah, they're a quality defensive team, and it's just one of those things. Like their offense is middling, But if you don't give up a lot of yards, you don't give up a lot of points, you're going to be in every game that you play.
They run the ball, right? According to my research, it looks like they run the ball.
They have a good running back, but but they only run for like 150 yards a game. So while they are, they got a nice little runner on their team, they're not like a great runner, like running program or anything.
But I mean, they're not throwing the ball at all. I think the quarterback has like 1,200 yards or something, maybe. And
it's not.
The second best receiver is the running back. So I mean, it's the Notre Dame defensive backs luck out again.
I mean, how dare you? How dare you put it in that sense? No. I mean, Temple's giving up like 15 points a game. So
that's pretty
good.
good.
If you give up 15 points a game, you're gonna be in every contest, into the fourth quarter.
But I mean,
it just takes kind of a special group of players, and some games that you might normally lose, you win.
Who have they played though? Honestly, like, who's Temple played?
They played. So they opened with Penn State. They won 27-10. I mean, 3-score victory. They went at Cincinnati. They won 34-26. They were at UMass and won by 2. They blew out Charlotte. They blew out Tulane. They blew out UCF, and they kind of narrowly won against East Carolina.
They had to come back on Thursday. It was a squeaker.
They did. They were down 14-10, and they scored a late touchdown, and then they got a late turnover and scored off that.
UMass is the common opponent, and that was a close game too. So I mean, Notre Dame, it was close for a second there, and then Notre Dame pulled away with it.
You kind of wonder about the moment for Temple. Like if game day does happen to show up, because though they sold out the first game, the first game against Penn State was also at Lincoln Financial. Now the sellout was 69,000 people.
It's pretty impressive for Temple.
Pretty impressive, but then at the same time, it wasn't like a national game or anything. It was probably the 9 a.m., local. And then I'll just give you their attendance. So since then, the highest crowd they've played in front of was 39,000 people last week.
On a Thursday?
On Thursday.
Wow.
So that's their highest. They have 38,000, a 10,000, a 13,000, a 35,000, and 31,000. So comparatively, this is a big game.
Yes.
Like a bigger game than any of these kids who signed up to play for Temple would ever have thought they were going to play in. So you kind of wonder, how they're going to respond to that. I know they got a bunch of seniors on their team, so that bodes well for them. I mean, they kind of remind me of like these, like James, like whatever, like a mid-major in like the NCAA tournament.
Right.
Basketball, like they got a bunch of seniors. They're like a 13 seed, and they come up against like the 2 seed, and the 2 seeds are a lot more talented. But then these kids have been playing together forever, and they know how to win. They expect to win, and they hang around and maybe get a lucky break here or there that allows them to win the game. So,
right.
This is a game that Notre Dame could lose.
No, come on.
They could lose. They could absolutely lose.
I mean, everyone could lose any game, but they have Will Fuller. I think he's a horse. He's gonna get past these DBs. CJ Process, 100 yards. That seems doable.
He's a problem. I mean, he's definitely a problem, but at the same time, all it takes is some turnovers.
This is true. I mean, Cincinnati got to 26. UMass got to 23 against them. Like, if those 2 teams can put up stats on them, I assume Notre Dame can.
Notre Dame could get to 40 against them. I mean, that's the thing about Notre Dame, is that if they hit on cylinders, if they play like they can, I mean, Temple doesn't have the players to hang with them.
No.
I mean, when Notre Dame can put up 41 on, USC or Texas, you put up 38 on Texas, you put up 41 against USC. I mean, they can score on anybody. They were unlucky not to put up 30 against Clemson.
Right.
So
it was raining too.
I mean, you put up 22 on Clemson with 4 turnovers in the rain. So yeah, Notre Dame has to play poorly for Temple to win.
Well, of course.
But Notre Dame could play poorly against like Wake Forest or Boston College and still pull it out. I mean, they played poorly against UMass and they put up 62 points. So, but I don't think you can't have a poor game against Temple this week.
No, you can't. I mean, all right. So let's see. Our good friends in Las Vegas have Notre Dame as a 9.5-point favorite. What do you think?
Give the points.
Give the points. I give the points as well. I think Notre Dame has this one in the bag. And speaking of Notre Dame in the bag, what does the playoffs look like now, Greg? Are you thinking they could crack the top 4?
I think if they win out, they will.
All right.
Contingent on some other things. First of all,
right. I mean, that's why this is a little silly now, but
yeah, Stanford, if they keep winning, that's great because I think people are starting to think a lot of Stanford. And if they keep winning, I think they'll be a top. I think the Notre Dame, if both teams keep winning, I think the Notre Dame Stanford game is a play-in game basically.
Okay, all right. I mean, it's gonna be tough when Stanford loses to USC in the Pac-12 title game.
Yeah.
Hopes are alive, Greg. Hopes are alive.
Well, no, I think USC will slip up at some point, but it doesn't matter. But anyway, so if Stanford beats Notre Dame, they will have beaten USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Notre Dame. I mean, those are some pretty quality wins, and they will have won the Pac-12. And there hasn't been a Pac-12 team in the playoff yet, so I think that they have that going for them.
Didn't Oregon make it last year?
I'm sorry, Oregon. That was incredibly stupid.
That's okay. They're so bad this year, you forgot about it.
But I think that they will be, them being the fact that they have a conference championship game will definitely help them out. I know Baylor just lost their quarterback. I mean, he fractured a bone in his neck, so
yeah, that's not good for him.
Yeah, he's probably out. TCU has looked a little bit shaky. At some point, they're going to lose. So
Ohio State has to play Michigan State, correct?
Ohio State has to play Michigan State. They have to play Michigan. I mean, John Harbaugh, man, he can find a way to perform against these schools. So, yeah, I just think if they win out, they'll get in. I mean, that's not assuming anything. I'm just saying that's.
I mean, that's fair. I think that I don't think you're going out on a limb there. I mean, they're at number 9 right now.
I think if they're number 9 now. I mean, but you don't know what they are in the college football poll. I mean, that poll could come out and they're like 12th, and then what?
That is true. And since we're talking about it, that's the one where people just meet in a room and put some rankings together and kind of leaves the races there. I think Pat Hayden's there. And they just kind of throw some names in a hat and see what happens.
I don't think Pat Hayden is there anymore.
Oh, good.
I can tell you that Tyrone Willingham was on it.
Ooh.
That just kind of no bias there. But yeah, they just kind of put it together. There's no formula or anything.
Not sure how I feel about that.
Yeah, I mean, but Florida State lost, which is nice. Georgia Tech beat them, which is nice.
Yes.
So I think that Pitt looks pretty good. Temple looks pretty good. Hopefully USC continues to look good. Texas looks a little bit better now. Um, Navy might only be a one-loss team. So, you know, if you finish the year like at number 5 Stanford, a team ranked ahead of you on the road, and you win, I mean, it's a pretty good win. And then if Clemson keeps winning, I mean, they could end up number 1.
Right.
And so it's like if your only loss is 2 points on the road to number 1 in a monsoon, I don't know. I mean, I know the committee doesn't like, they're more of a wins, but if you get a win with a quality loss, I think that bodes pretty well for Notre Dame.
I think Notre Dame, a good Notre Dame team gets, I don't want to say favoritism, that's a little unfair of a word, but like they get the national rub. If they're kind of struggling and they're hanging around the fringes, like then I don't know. But I think if a Notre Dame team's rolling, they might get a rub over someone who isn't.
Yeah, I do get a little concerned about like the Big 12 and just how like they got shut out last year, and I feel like it could be a bit of a makeup call.
You never know. I mean, everyone hated the BCS, but you can't fault computers, right?
And it's like I think Baylor and TCU will probably trip up, but are they going to trip up twice? I don't think so.
Probably not. But yeah, I mean Baylor might be done though. So that's good.
The Big 12 isn't great, and like I feel like that offense is good enough to put up at least 30 a game.
That's true. They probably have some sort of contingency plan.
Yeah.
All right. Well, all right. So we think I like that. From earlier in the year, we were both at some lows, and now somehow we both have found some positivity going forward. That's pretty impressive for us.
I'm on your side, Mike. I am now on your side firmly.
I love it. I love it. You got any fun news and notes? Anything going on?
I don't think so, bro.
I haven't seen any fun Notre Dame stories floating around. They had the bye week, so there's probably not a lot of press. There was the story I sent you, which was what was it? There's the actual Notre Dame website had a story about Joe Schmidt and what a leader he was. I thought that was kind of humorous.
It's just hard for me to talk about.
It was really impeccable timing by them. I mean, as his play has gotten progressively worse, they have the article about what a great guy. They must have had it ready to go. I mean, I just feel like they needed some bye-week filler, and they just popped a story in there.
I just don't. I mean, we can't get into it because we're running out of time here. But when you have a defense that is so complicated that you have to play a lesser player just to get people lined up, and you have a free safety who in 2 years still doesn't know where he's supposed to be, it's just you got to do something else.
Weren't they on the same high school team? Just fun fact.
Who?
I assume we're to the safety we're talking about is Max Redfield.
Yeah.
Where's he at Modern Day with Joe Schmidt?
No, he's a Mission Viejo.
Same thing. If you're from California, or if you're not from California, same thing. If you're not from California, same thing.
Yeah.
Let's see. Do you have any fun USC notes? I thought I heard that Juju Smith-Schuster was added to the Maxwell list of candidates, so that's good for him.
Yeah,
Did you see? Oh, we didn't talk about his stiff arm. That was pretty impressive.
It was
from a wide receiver. I mean, you always comment.
I've been saying he's massive.
So I thought of you right when you popped that Utah DB. I was like, oh, look how big and strong he is. That's what Greg always says.
He's a big dude.
Well, all right. Before we get out of here, we have I always forget to thank the guys at Mash and Flutter for letting me use their song. So thank you. Also, fun news for the podcast. We have a Facebook page now. I'll put the link on the website. I have been putting a fun Notre Dame and a fun USC story every day. So go there, like us. You'll get some USC Notre Dame information. It'll also be a landing place for the podcast if you're trying to follow us some way. Also, a great way to follow us is on iTunes. Subscribe, leave reviews. We love it. Put smiles in our faces, so only good ones. You also can follow us on Twitter. It's Tiltingground at Twitter. I sound like an old person right there. Our name is Tiltingground on Twitter. Greg, what's your Twitter handle?
At Greg2126.
You've been a little quiet lately. We need a Notre Dame one for you this weekend.
Man.
I'm Michael Muto on Twitter. And it's a great week. Can't wait to do this again. Fight on.
Go Irish.